order to give you this word, I must give it to you where I am. So if you are in ministry with me, you know me in real life, or you're a friend of mine, or all of the above, and you haven't heard from me, don't worry. Hon, I just got the vid on the go, and I am now stuck in this hotel. Which reminded me I might have you when I am in this hotel for 2 days, that for extra so much dollars, I could add a paranormal activity tour to my stay, babe. That ain't gonna happen. Does that mean I can deduct the money from my stay? Anyway, so we escaped the Demon Tour 5000, but this so adds to the lore of travel for 2024. But I digress. So I'm sitting in the airport and I'm waiting for a flight to get out of where I am to get to the next space. And I noticed that even though I'll never fly this airline again, God bless them, the delays in front of me isn't the reason that I'll never fly it again. It was the racked on charges. Not the delays. People were actually really nice. And lots of flights were getting delayed before mine. And I wondered why these gentlemen were like so angry about a delay. And I remember talking to God and a friend about it on the phone. I was like, I just don't understand. Because a delay means we're safe on the ground. A delay means like we're okay. A delay on the ground means that I'm not going to get in trouble in the air. A delay in the ground. And as I'm saying that to you right now, I think about the story of Daniel. And Daniel thought that his prayers were in limbo. But his prayers were actually making a highway from God through all of the spiritual warfare in the air right down to him. And the Lord tells Daniel, he's like, look, buddy, I heard the first time that you called me, but there's so much warfare in the air that if it hadn't been for your prayers, you wouldn't have been hearing from me quite so soon. Such a beautiful story, but this isn't what I come to tell you, but I'm sure it ties in. I come to tell you that every time I'm in a window sill, every hotel I stay in, I don't know how, I don't plan it. It always has a window seat. Not a window seat, or a huge bay window, and it always invites the perfect space to pray. Last night I finally got an opportunity to pray over this area. And all I can say is this city I'm in right now feels volatile. I don't think I've ever felt as volatile of the atmosphere as I have here. It's an interesting type of volatile, like I'm waiting on the next thing volatile, and I can't imagine living here type of volatile, and I began to pray. As I began to pray, something that has come up in my spirit over and over, and even on this plane I finally caught, was this. The first thing and last thing God said to me before I left my hometown was this, was Elijah, you're not alone, there's 7,000 more. Like, this is going to be a whopper, isn't it? And sitting here with COVID, I'm going to tell you it's a whopper. And I have been dizzy. I have been medicing up with every possible thing possible. And also just not feeling like it's spiritually sound to be out there after what I felt and what I prayed about. But as I finished up that prayer last night over this city, one thing that the Lord had me pray, and there was a lot of prayer language in there, which I love about God. God was bringing to my remembrance the laying back down of the respect that Elijah did when he calls everyone up to Mount Carmel. And Elijah, the first thing he does is rebuild. He rebuilds the altar. And he puts down for all the 12 tribes, boom, 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 boom. Puts respect on God's name before he does anything. And I love that that's what God had me do up there. And at the end of this prayer, I was searching for more things to pray because it didn't feel like an hour-long prayer was enough when I've been waiting to be here for quite some time. But when I reached the end of this prayer, I simply remember saying, I hear the sound of the abundance of the sound of rain. And this comes straight out of the story of Elijah. God's been on Elijah for a long time. And I go back into my Atlanta hotel at this moment when I'd went and stayed somewhere that my best friend had wanted to stay before I got here. I was starting to feel a little there, but I thought it's just because I hadn't slept. And I was thinking about how I just wanted to go home, didn't really want to be on this trip. And I walked by the window, and I remember saying, you tell Ahab he's going to see me today. So I kind of set myself up to be here in this moment. But I believe everything works for our good, and even the enemy works for our good when we call on the name of the Lord. And I was sitting here in this hotel. My best friend just sent me something that was very interesting. It was a little girl preaching You can get under the umbrella and miss the rain, or you can be in funnel and just receive the rain as it comes. I hear the sound of the abundance of the sound of rain. And I smiled because I sort of understood. And there's always a moment in a trip where you understand why you're there. People always think it's for this reason or that reason, and I always know before I go that I'm usually on kingdom business and it's not going to go the way I'd like. It's just going to go the way it needs to go. And this trip was that. And most people who know me well know it might not go the way I like. Might not even go the way that people who love me like, but it's going to go the way it needs to go. That's something I've come to learn about the Lord. I had to tell you the fatality of the story because to add insult to injury, the devil wants you to know that you're staying in a hotel that does Demon Tour 5000. And that's okay. I just remember I laid down in this room last night and I was like, don't you dang gov start. I'm going to bed. God laughed at me. And stuff like that doesn't frighten me. Stuff that does frighten me is more like going to meet my Uber driver, like on the curb or something. But that stuff doesn't really frighten me. I just find it interesting that you pay $20 to get possessed. I'd rather not. And as I lay here and thought about the world and God and just the state of the world and who God's always been, I think how nice that I can lay down in the Shining Hotel here and I can feel the presence of the Most High God. How nice. In the middle of COVID, I can feel the presence of the Most High God and not feel alone. I didn't check everything but my text, and I'm willing to bet if I checked everything, I would have probably heard from a little bit of everybody yesterday. Every pastor I know locally texted me yesterday. They're like, I don't know why. I just want to remind you, you're not alone, and you're so loved. I'm like, well, I've got the vid and I'm stuck in this hotel, so it does make sense to me, yeah. And they laughed. And I just can't get over how when God won't tell you but one thing, he will still reiterate that one thing over and over. Elijah, you're not alone. There's 7,000 more. You're not alone. There's so many more. And I come to tell you tonight that the devil does his best work in making you feel alone. How better to make a little preacher feel alone than in a city she's never been, in a city that never sleeps, in a place with a demon tour hotel, and to give me COVID in the middle of all of it and not be able to get out of here. It's a great way to make you feel alone. Tax up everything else going on in my life to make you feel alone, to make schedules not align, to make this not happen. But what's so beautiful about God is something he's been trying to teach me right now, as the devil would love for me to feel alone. It's not to strive, to rest in him. And so as this so goes, and as it is in how the Lord is all the time, what the enemy meant for my harm, God meant for my good. And as I called my spiritual father today and asked him, what do you think I should do? Should I just hop a plane tomorrow? Should I stay a couple extra days? He's like, why are you asking me this? I'm like, because you're my spiritual father. He's like, well, if you're striving not to strive, for someone striving not to strive, you're sure doing a good job of it. He's like, you need to stay. You need to wait it out. You need to wait it out. You need to stop striving and figure out what God wants you to learn so you can go home. So as the storms have cut off the TV and the internet for a little while, and my phone reminds me over and over that the sound, the abundance of rain is coming, I just come to ask you, do you want to receive what the Lord is trying to give you? Do you want to receive it even if it doesn't feel well right now? Do you want to take that lot? Do you want to be the Elijah in your moment, in your area, and whatever you're doing? Do you want to still see Ahab if it means it's hard? Do you still want to do that? And I believe that you can. Because if I can sit here alone in the ghost motel, babe, or whatever this thing is, I believe you can too. I believe that the sound of the abundance of rain is coming, and the Lord just hopes that you get out your umbrella and run. Just like the devil hoped that I would. But I believe you're going to stick around to find out. God has a funny way of reminding you you're not by yourself. So Elijah, there's 7,000 more, and you will be okay.